Hi folks, so tomorrow morning, it is the afternoon, it is shortly after 2 p.m. on Saturday, February the 22nd, and tomorrow morning, February the 23rd, Pacific time, 7:30 a.m. or so, something along those lines, we're going to have the new moon in Pisces. So I'm going to do my new moon video after the new moon, as I usually do, which is a stupid practice for YouTube because the airwaves, so to speak, are already full of new moon videos, but that's just the way I like to sort of function. But today's video is a prelude to this new moon and the sign of the times. It's sort of a regular compass video that I actually wanted to do a couple of days ago, but I'm still going to go ahead and put it and do it. As those of you who've been following my videos for a while know, and as I've mentioned, the 48 hours before a new moon can feel flat, kind of depressed, slow, tired, lethargic. And maybe lethargic is the best possible word. So the amount of energy it actually takes to get something done or get moving or solve problems or be creative, or there's an exhaustion. So don't be surprised if you just want to stare into space, surprised if you want to stare into space or watch a movie or put your feet up, or you're just sleeping a lot. You're purging an old cycle. You're purging the last lunar cycle that occurred on January the 24th in Aquarius. So you're finishing up a cycle and you're about to start a new one in about 16, 17 hours time, something along those lines. And as I've always maintained and observed, that shortly after a new moon, you don't have to wait that long for that influx of energy to come in and tackle things. And this idea of tackling things is particularly relevant right now because we're in the strange contradictory energy of, on the one hand, having Mars in Capricorn and therefore on the one hand having enough to do and being busy and actually needing to and wanting to be pushy in certain areas and get things done. On the one hand, it's an extraordinarily action-oriented, goal-oriented transit. But at the same time, we also have, at least right now, a moon that is diminishing in size for a very short period of time now. But also we have Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So, and Mercury retrograde in Pisces is especially an especially debilitated time for Mercury. Your mind is... Mercury is not particularly happy in Pisces, which is a very non-mental sign, which is we don't need to figure anything out, we already know everything. It's a very not conducive to Mercury, let's figure this out, let's communicate, it's a very higher consciousness, higher communication, higher knowledge, wisdom, intuition, as opposed to mental figuring it out and solving of puzzles and sending communications out and signing of contracts. And then you've got Mercury retro. So there's this... On the one hand, there's action to be taken. On the other hand, there's a heavy emphasis on processing past things, particularly past things. On the one hand, it would be past things that I've mentioned before that would be related to 2015-2016 crises, particularly the first 3 quarters of 2016 and the last quarter of 2015. Things to do with last March, April of 2019, and here we are again. Some of the things that we are processing are predictable. And we may already know that before we get into the next burst of forward movement in April and part of May, last half of March, April, part of May, first part of May, there are things that we need to set aside, get done with, finish up. And yet at the same time, with Mercury being retrograde, yes, there's an emphasis on prior things needing to be put to bed, but there's also a heavy dose of processing. Some of the processing, as I said, is predictable based on the things that I've mentioned, where Pisces sits in your chart, and you'll be able to see, yes, there are things there that need to get done and wrapped up, and clarity needs to be brought, and we need to sit with certain things. But some of the things that are going to come up are going to be surprising. You may be walking around or thinking about something. It might surprise you what comes up to be processed and perhaps purged. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It is the 12th sign of the zodiac. It is a place of purging, processing, letting go. Purging. But you don't purge by just saying you're going to purge and writing something on a piece of paper and burning it. If the burning and the writing of the piece of paper isn't accompanied by the right kind of understanding and wisdom surrounding a certain situation, and the ability, therefore, once you've seen it clearly and understood what it was about and what perhaps could have been done differently, and then releasing it and letting it go, really incorporating the lesson and letting it go. Some of these things are going to be surprising. They might be things hidden in your emotional subconscious. Pisces is a water sign. Subconscious features strongly in Pisces, and then it comes up to be purged, and you might just be things that you were not anticipating having to work on might be here. Now, the new moon tomorrow, which is conjunct this Mercury, and I'll talk about, and generally speaking, a constructive new moon is going, if you're feeling right now and have been feeling for the past few days, a little bit like the Two of Swords in Tarot, like, I want to act, I know I need to, but there's also a part of me that doesn't want to act and just wants to sit and process. I don't know what to do. Do I take action? Do I not take action? I have the energy, I don't. I have a to-do list. I am working. I am taking care of certain things, and certain things are taking a certain amount of activity, and I feel overwhelmed and I've got a lot to do. But at the same time, the things that I really feel like need to be, this kind of, I'm going to title this video Pause and Play. Pause and Play. There's just this kind of interplay between this pushy meet your goals energy with Mars in Capricorn and this accompanying let me, separate the threads of certain things in Pisces before we act. Now, as I said, the new moon tomorrow is going to start to open up the gates a little bit so that we can really be in much more forward moving mode. But at least right now, we're just in this kind of place of weird pause and play, stop and start, process and act. And the actions are in Capricorn and a different part of the chart, and the pausing has to do with Pisces, a different part of the chart, but it doesn't make for a very comfortable mix necessarily, okay? And by all means, look and see where Capricorn sits in your chart and what part of the chart it occupies and what that stands for, and what Pisces sits in your chart and what that stands for. I wrote down a few things actually because typical Mercury retrograde fashion, I knew that as I was thinking about this video, for once I would need to write things down or they just wouldn't stick. As it is, doing this video when really what I want to do is stare into space and listen to music and put up my feet and sleep is but I want to do the video, so it's harder than it seems. So as I said, yeah, things feel up in the air. There's indecision, there's confusion, things feeling up in the air. This feeling, it's an important week, as I've mentioned in the past couple of videos, because we are looking at February 25th being the eclipse anniversary, eclipse bi-month anniversary of the December 25th solar eclipse in Capricorn. And on did I write these dates down? Yes. February the 18th to February the 20th, we had the moon in Capricorn. February 18th to February 20th. Now, first and foremost, the week prior to February the 25th and the week after February the 25th, you may be given clues or developments related to the new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn. And my last video, look up my last couple of videos that develop this further. I don't want to spend 20 minutes just talking about this theme because I've actually talked about it. I'll put a link to that video once I'm done processing this one. But the 20th to 22nd could also have brought up things that were a sign or signal that said, here, pay attention to this, because this is part of what needs to be released or managed or dealt with, or what needs some disciplined action around this, or needs your attention, or is where you're going to be ending things and making an auspicious new beginning. So all of that has to do with the presence of the eclipses of release in Capricorn, which happened on the 25th of December and is reaching a peak or culmination on July the 4th. So again, I'm risking doing that entire video all over again. It's my last video, I'm pretty sure the last that really talks about Mars in Capricorn. It's the Mars in Capricorn video that talks about why the next 40 odd days now are important and a certain amount of action needs to be taken, and this week and next week might provide some important clues as to where this action needs to be taken. So there's that. So there's this sense of things brewing. Remember one thing with Mercury retrograde: be careful of making decisions and reaching conclusions right now. Sit with the pondering. It is an uncomfortable pondering because it's a busy time on the one hand, and you will find yourself in action, and you will find yourself taking care of business and driving around and traveling around and doing this and doing that. At the same time, there's a whole set of activities where you're just like, I can't figure out exactly what needs to be done. I don't currently have the energy. This will change tomorrow to start to take, but I know that things are brewing. The clarity is not here yet, right? With Mercury retrograde, the clarity is not here yet. In addition, maybe an instinctive feeling that decisions made now between February the 17th and March the 10th, maybe a few days before February 17th, a few days after March the 10th, are unlikely to stick in their current form. So be especially wary of some sort of situation where someone comes in and says, here it is, here's the decision, sign it, we're done, this is taken care of. And you don't have to necessarily get into the argument as much as you just don't need to sign, or you just need to say thank you very much and do your research on the background. Read the fine print. Pay attention to the fine print, whether you're paying attention to it in your heart, internally, by thinking and processing. Mercury is still Mercury. It is still your mental, it is still your thinking faculty. It is still trying to make sense of things. It's still about detail and sensible decision making. It's just going to require poring over the details 3 or 4 times to get clear about what is going on in the murkiness. And you do not need to be pushed to make firm decisions at this time or reach a clear assessment. Clear assessment at this time. Clear assessment about what is going on, as much as you need to be patient and sit with and actively try to use your mind to gently de-thread a situation to understand what is going on. Trust that after March the 10th, and especially after March the 16th, the action will get clearer and there will be the next round of forward movement. So if right now it feels a little bit like if you have darts to shoot, there's this cloud between you and the dartboard, that is what this energy feels like. Coupled with, as I said, a lot of messages, a lot of intuitive information coming through, maybe between February the 20th and 22nd around the Capricorn eclipse, maybe since the 20th to now with the fact that your energy is low and depleted because the moon is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Stuff will shift tomorrow, and I will do a new moon in Pisces video tomorrow that will start to provide some clarity. But just, indecision, confusion, the need to read the fine print. It's not a question of not being able to take action. It's just a question of not being able to move fast and being wary of situations where you are being made to move fast. Hey, I'm going to have this conversation with you. Oh, okay, great. Oh, okay, great. Oh, yeah, okay, great. Great. We hang up. Within 5 minutes, there's an email that goes, oh, hey, done. We're finished with this. And you're very welcome to go, I saw that. I caught that. I may or may not choose to argue with it right now, but I'm going to process this, reach my own conclusions, get clear on what needs further attention, and bring that up with you. And you may think we are done, but guess what? We are not. And if that metaphorically applies to a situation that is not a conversation, and you processing something internally, and you having to determine which part of your life has the play button on and which part of your life has the pause button on, then by all means, lean into the energy, because that's where we're at. Okie dokie. What else do I have? That is it. Oh my God, under 15 minutes. So if this resonates, be patient. Mercury retrograde in Pisces is serving a purpose. There are certain things and actions that need to be taken to put things behind you so that by the time you're getting ready to move forward in April, certain I's have been dotted and T's have been crossed. There's also a need to lean into and let spirit or your soul do the work and bring up things that might be surprising to you, but you're still carrying emotionally and you weren't predicting, that need to be looked at and examined and maybe processed and purged. And with Pisces, these are bigger deals than we might think. Ending things when it comes to being in the sign of Pisces are meaningful, emotional, meaningful, karmic, meaningful experiences that you're carrying with you that need to be processed and released. And the processing will happen at a mental level. And that is what will allow you to make sense of your emotional life and finally say, okay, I think I'm ready to put this to bed. But these are not hasty processes. And as I said, there's a play button on in one part of your life which is ready to move and needs action, and there's a pause button on in another part of your life where it's just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Things are not clear. Shall I do this? Shall I don't know what's going on. Things will start to become better after tomorrow. But largely, we do need to wait for Mercury to go direct on March the 10th. Okie dokie. If you're dealing with acting on, if work, there's nothing wrong with work getting to, as I said, some part of your life has a play button on it. And if you need to act to take care of certain things, as far as that is concerned, by all means, do it. Okay, I wish you a happy rest over the next 14, 16 hours and a happy new moon. It is, generally speaking, a nice new moon, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow. If you found this video useful, share it, like it, comment on it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, click the bell icon next to the subscribe button to know when I'm doing a video again. Use my email address to get in touch with me if you're interested in a reading, want to find out rates, want me to create an easy-to-read version of your chart. Over and out. Thank you. Oh, and feel free to leave a comment if you feel so inclined. My understanding is that videos that get comment, you don't have to be fake about it. And some of you, I am deeply grateful for encouraging comments and feedback that I get. So I know that comments that are left are heartfelt. So I'm not trying to be pushy about people leaving comments, but my understanding is that the videos get commented on, they get greater circulation. I haven't done the research, but that's my understanding. So if you feel genuinely inclined, by all means, like, subscribe, dance, talk about me, do whatever it is that you need to do. Okay, thanks. Bye.